Hello, I'm Sebastian. Welcome to 9R Trees podcast. Today, I will summarize and review the book. Polywise, a deeper dive into navigating open relationships by Jessica Fern, expands the conversation about consensual non-monogamy through the lens she is best known for: attachment-informed relationship skills. Rather than treating open relationships as a set of rules or a single lifestyle, the book approaches them as living systems shaped by nervous systems, histories, and needs for safety and connection. It frames polyamory and other forms of non-monogamy as workable when people build secure functioning, communicate with clarity, and repair quickly when stress and jealousy arise. Fern emphasizes practical guidance over ideology, offering ways to understand why certain dynamics repeat, why conflict can feel so intense, and how to create agreements that protect both autonomy and care. Readers can expect a focus on emotional regulation, honest negotiation, and compassionate accountability, alongside attention to common challenges like time management, mismatched desire, and navigating multiple attachment bonds. The overall aim is to help partners build relationships that feel steady, ethical, and resilient. I will give you key takeaways from this book. Firstly, attachment theory as a foundation for consensual non-monogamy. A central theme is that open relationships thrive when partners understand attachment patterns and the ways they show up under stress. Instead of assuming jealousy or insecurity means someone is not suited for non-monogamy, the book frames these reactions as signals from an attachment system seeking safety, reassurance, and predictability. Readers are guided to notice triggers, track bodily responses, and connect present-day reactions to earlier relational learning, without using the past as an excuse to avoid accountability. This approach shifts the work from policing behavior to strengthening the bond and the skills that support it. It also reframes security as something that can exist alongside multiple relationships as long as partners cultivate reliability, responsiveness, and repair. The emphasis is practical: build shared language for needs, identify what helps each person feel anchored, and create rituals of connection that reduce chronic uncertainty. By grounding non-monogamy in attachment-informed care, the book positions secure relating not as a personality trait, but as an ongoing practice supported by communication, boundaries, and consistent follow-through. Secondly, ethical agreements, boundaries, and the art of negotiation. Another major topic is the difference between rules that attempt to control outcomes and agreements that clarify values, limits, and responsibilities. The book encourages readers to treat negotiation as a skill set, naming what matters, asking for what is needed, and making commitments that are realistic rather than aspirational. That includes discussing sexual health practices, disclosure expectations, scheduling, privacy, and how new relationships are introduced into existing ones. A key idea is that boundaries are most effective when they describe what a person will do to protect their well-being, while agreements define what partners choose together to maintain trust. Readers are prompted to check whether an arrangement is motivated by fear, punishment, or reassurance, and to adjust toward transparency and consent. The discussion also highlights that agreements are not a one-time contract, because life circumstances, attachment needs, and relationship structures change. Regular check-ins, clear processes for renegotiation, and mutual accountability help prevent resentment and hidden rulemaking. Ethical navigation is presented as a blend of honesty, compassionate limits, and willingness to revisit decisions when new information emerges. Thirdly, working with jealousy, insecurity, and emotional flooding. Jealousy is treated as multi-layered, often combining fear of loss, comparison, unmet needs, and threat responses in the body. The book emphasizes responding to jealousy with curiosity rather than shame or aggression. Instead of forcing oneself to be fine or demanding that a partner stop a connection, readers are encouraged to identify the specific fear underneath the jealousy and translate it into a workable request. The guidance highlights emotional regulation strategies that reduce spirals, slowing down reactivity, grounding in the body, and distinguishing facts from stories. Equally important is how partners respond when one person is activated. Reassurance is framed not as coddling, but as relational care that supports a secure bond, especially when exploring new dynamics. The book also makes room for accountability, asking readers to examine behaviors that inflame insecurity, such as inconsistency, vague communication, or secrecy. Repair practices matter here, acknowledging impact, clarifying intentions, and making concrete changes. Over time, jealousy becomes less of an emergency and more of a message pointing to adjustments in agreements, pacing, connection rituals, or personal support systems. Fourthly, balancing autonomy, intimacy, and multiple commitments. Consensual non-monogamy requires navigating competing needs, independence and closeness, novelty and stability, personal growth, and shared responsibility. The book explores how to keep relationships nourishing when attention and energy are distributed across multiple partners, work, family, and self-care. Practical tension points include time management, unequal availability, different relationship goals, and the emotional impact of partners dating at different speeds. The guidance encourages designing relationship structures intentionally rather than defaulting to cultural scripts from monogamy or polyamory communities. Readers are invited to clarify what commitment means in their context, how decisions are made, and how each relationship is protected from neglect. It also addresses the importance of pacing, especially in new relationship energy, where excitement can unintentionally destabilize existing bonds. Building stability involves predictable communication, calendars that reflect priorities, and practices that sustain attachment security, such as regular quality time and follow-through. The book emphasizes that autonomy does not mean absence of responsibility. It means choosing freely while remaining trustworthy. When partners can hold both freedom and care, the network becomes more resilient and less driven by crisis management. Lastly, repair, conflict skills, and building long-term resilience. Long-term success in open relationships depends less on avoiding conflict and more on repairing effectively. The book highlights common conflict cycles, protest behaviors, shutdown, defensiveness, and escalation when people feel unsafe. It encourages readers to recognize their personal conflict style and learn interventions that de-escalate rather than intensify. That includes taking structured pauses, returning to the conversation when regulated, and using language that describes feelings and needs instead of accusations. Repair is presented as an active process, acknowledging harm, taking responsibility for impact, and making a plan to prevent recurrence. Because multiple relationships can create complex ripple effects, the book emphasizes clarity around communication channels and decision-making so that misunderstandings do not spread across a wider network. Resilience also involves building support beyond romantic partners, including friends, community, and professional help when needed. Readers are encouraged to treat mistakes as information rather than proof of failure, while still holding themselves to ethical standards. The overall message is that open relationships become sustainable when people invest in skills, regulation, honesty, boundaries, and consistent repair that restores trust over time. In conclusion, this book is best for readers who are practicing or considering consensual non-monogamy and want more than surface-level tips. It will also help couples opening up, established polycules refining their systems, and therapists or coaches looking for an attachment-informed framework to understand recurring patterns. The benefit is practical and personal. By connecting open relationship challenges to attachment needs and nervous system responses, readers can reduce shame, communicate more clearly, and make agreements that support both security and freedom. The tools implied by this approach can improve everyday life by lowering reactivity, strengthening self-knowledge, and helping partners repair quickly instead of accumulating resentment. Compared with many non-monogamy guides that focus primarily on terminology, rules, or ideological debates, this book stands out for grounding relationship design in emotional skills that work across structures. It treats jealousy and conflict as solvable relational problems rather than character flaws, and it emphasizes trust as a set of behaviors rather than a vague hope. For readers who want open relationships that are not only ethically arranged but emotionally sustainable, it offers a thoughtful, skill-forward reason to buy and keep as a reference. If you would like to support Jessica Fern, you can buy the book through the Amazon link I've provided in the podcast description. After reading the book, please let me know what you think and share your thoughts. See you around.